Hey Lunacy community, Jeff Ado here. Before we get started, a couple of things to be aware of. First and foremost, this is part 2 of a 2-part interview. If you haven't heard part 1, check that out first. This will make a lot more sense if you do. Second, the theme this month on Lunacy is reinvention. On today's episode, Vela goes deep into the path that led him to transformation and reinvention after fighting in Vietnam. Third, there's some talk on this episode about war, killing, and good old-fashioned imperialism. If that's upsetting to you, feel free to skip this one. Also, this episode starts off right after Vela recounts his solo trip to Vietnam to reconcile his time there. I do a bit of a recap here at the beginning, but you really want to listen to the last episode first. Finally, lunacycommunity.com is live and rolling. Yes, it's all happening, yes. It's still in development, but phase 1 is pretty amazing. I'm really excited about it. Check it out and sign up if you would, please. Thank you so much. This episode was recorded on November 12th, 2023. Here we go. I don't even know how to respond hearing that. That's such a beautiful reconciliation story, that you went back, first of all, of your own accord to a place that you knew you might get killed. You didn't. Instead, you were embraced like you were home. Like no one in your actual home would embrace you here in the United States. Now you're here in enemy territory, and you find yourself being loved and treated like a rock star. And then on top of that, you get invited to this wedding, this very sacred event. And then you get invited to go see Auntie, this old lady out in the middle of nowhere. And then she happens to have an altar after you haven't meditated for so many days. Because I also know what that's like. If I don't meditate for a bunch of days, I'm twisted.
Yeah.
And then you have to, and then that's where you sit and you're just gifted all of this ancestry and knowledge. And you go through and have these experiences of all these people. And then you have a choice before you. It really is a mythological story. I really feel like you just told me a story of the Buddha, where he had this experience and then he released it, and then you had to release that, and then that was full reconciliation for you also, right?
Yeah.
And it opened your heart, and that was. It sounds to me like that was also forgiveness for you for what had happened, and you saw it from a much larger perspective,
right?
And you learned the lessons that you were there to learn, and maybe even beyond. I mean, it sounds to me like when I say that, like you were open to the messages that were coming from above or from elsewhere, from these spirits, or however you want to look at it, from God, from source, from, the flow, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you took those lessons to your heart and you owned them. That's such a breathtaking, beautiful story. I'm glad that you're sharing it here, because now I feel like, I was going to say I wish you could give that to other people, but you just did explain it. Obviously, they're not living with your eyes and your heart, but you can see the beauty in what you described easily.
The other part of the mythological story is this woman's name was V.
Okay. The auntie?
No, the girl that
the girl that you were sparking with.
She gave me the possibility of entering into this because the love that I was starting to feel for her opened the portal.
I see.
The possibility.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
And I find out, translating V, it means life.
Wow.
Figure that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So let's just dig in a little bit there, because I'm into this. We talk on this program, we talk a lot about the love operating system, right? Which is, I invented it. All right. It's mine. Just kidding. It's just an idea, right? It's a contextual question. How do I love more? I think I'm going to say it again because I talked about it this morning. But for me, questions are so important because answers are very, there's a reason Trinity in the Matrix says it's the question that drives us. It's the question that brought you here, Neo. And then he's like, what is the Matrix? Right? The question it always has answers. And so if I ask myself, how do I love more? Well, that's going to show up in different ways no matter what kind of situation I'm in. Whether it's how do I love more in my work? How do I show up and love more as a host? How do I love more digging this ditch, building this shed? How do I love more in my family? How do I show more love? The answers are always going to be different. How do I love more in this conversation? So there's a contextual question there. And so that's always my question. I'm always thinking about that and really trying to spread that idea for people because it's so powerful for me. And within love, as I have been taught, and I'm sure there's more than this, but there are 3 forms of love according to the Greeks. There's amore, right, which was between a man and woman, romantic love. That's amore. There's amiki, which is brotherly love, familial love, and there's agape, which is love for the source, love for the creator. And they're all related, but there's 3 different types of love. They're still considered love. So here, in this example, you're open. There's a door that opens with amore because you start to fall for this young, beautiful lady, and she's starting to fall for you, and you're getting the feels, as they say. As the kids say these days, you get in the feels, Vela. You get in the feels.
That's a new one for me.
It's good. That one. I'm still trying to reckon that, and also the container. People talk about like containers for things, and I'm like, okay, you're talking about time here. Anyway, cut that part out. So the feel. So you're feeling love. You're feeling amore for this young lady. Then you go into this deep, deep, deep meditation, and then you realize both amiki, so love for all of your fellow man, which also opens you up to agape, which is the highest form of love. I mean, I guess they're all equal in a way, but it is love for God, right? The most powerful, the source, love for life itself. And so you get taken in through amore into amiki and into agape, and then it creates this beautiful web where your heart's just completely open. Yeah?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Right, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And, it comes down to, my meditation now is worship of the goddess, to chant the name of the goddess and find unity through the goddess, through the feminine.
Yeah.
And there it was, manifested as this young woman.
Wow. Literally.
The goddess, life itself.
Yeah.
Right in front of my face.
Look, if your mind's not blown out there, Lunacy community, you need to check your head. All right? Know what I mean? Maybe rewind, listen to it again. That's amazing. Yeah. But I want to talk about the politics, but I feel like we need to close the loop because we promised something from 2012, and I don't think we've delivered on that yet. So you have this experience in the 90s, which is epic and mythological and revelatory on all levels for you and also for us listening. And then you go back to the United States. Well, so first of all, we're going to cut to 2012 here in a second. But first of all, why did you go back?
Back where?
Why did you go back to the United States? Why didn't you stay in Vietnam? You let go of the possibility of living there.
Yeah, because I was told that wasn't a possibility to stay there, that wasn't the thing to do.
I see.
I was told at the very highest place. When I rose up to that high place, I was in a very elevated consciousness.
Okay.
And that was saying, no, that's not what you should do. Okay.
From your guides or
yeah.
How do you look at that? From your guides?
Right. Inner wisdom guides telling me, whoever was speaking through the radio was saying, no, you go back to your people. You go back to the United States and they will be your people too. You don't need to stay here and do that.
Yeah.
That's stuck, Make it move.
Wow. Interesting. And also you probably I would imagine embedded in that is the need to share the wisdom that you got.
Yeah.
Yeah? Would you agree with that?
Right. And
I mean, here I am sitting here having this conversation with you for a very good reason, right? And that's part of it. So now here you are sharing your wisdom. But do you feel like that was part of like the call was like, no, you need to go back to the United States and share your medicine with those people?
Yeah.
Is that right, or am I just?
No, it's true, but it's a long story. It wasn't like I was cognizant of I need to go share this with people.
Yeah.
But
the
my
message
life,
just was go back.
The momentum of my life told me to go back and do that.
Okay.
And then it came to eventually to 2012 when Dr. Edward Tick with Soldier's Heart invited me, and he gave me a scholarship. It was a $5,000 trip, but he gave me a scholarship, and I'll take you, and take. And I love Vietnam. I'll go with you, sure. So that was not traumatic for me. I was overjoyed, But I helped all those other veterans too that were in trauma.
Did he know that you were going to be helpful, or he just wanted you to be there? Do you think?
No, I think I didn't really meet him there. I had been working with him somewhat already.
Okay.
And then he came to Minnesota Men's Conference with Robert Ply and them, and then gave me that opportunity. Okay. But I had already started working with him.
So he knew you were an ally in this way.
Yeah, right.
And then you'd be helpful when you got over there. Okay.
Yeah. And I was overjoyed that he was be there and invite me. So I went. And see, up to that time, I was not aware that I had PTSD. Because I had been totally functional, to my opinion. And then when I was there was another serviceman there in our group, and we were sharing a room, and he goes, "So Vela," he said, "how much benefits are you getting?" And I go, "Benefits for what? There's nothing wrong with me." And he said, "For PTSD, dude."
Oh, I love this. Okay,
and I go, "Well, I don't have PTSD." And he goes, "Really? You don't feel there's anything wrong with you?" And I go, "No, I'm fine. I'm functional. I run a company. I'm married. Where's the PTSD?" And he said, "Dude, look, even if you think you don't have PTSD, you can get benefits. You can get money from the government. Just go in there and tell them you're messed up. You need some help." And I go, "Well, that sounds like a good scam. I can get money." He said, "Yeah, you can get a lot of money, man." And so I go, "Okay, yeah." And
they're going to listen to this, right?
No, but
you're a wolf in lunatic's clothing.
Hey, but the thing is, so I said, okay, so I got to go get a therapist, go to the VA, make my complaints. My life is fucked up. I'm not doing very good, and and go get start the process and tell them, I think there's something wrong with me, and there was really, and
okay.
I've been married.
So that's interesting. So like you got pointed in that direction. You're like, there's nothing wrong with me. Okay, I can get money from the government. And by the way, I fought for this country and murdered people, and so like I'm entitled to that too.
Right.
I don't think that would be part of the equation.
Yeah,
for
it
you.
is.
It is for me listening to it. So then you start going on this road, and then you're like, oh wait, maybe there is some stuff, there is some trauma that I have yet to deal with.
Yeah, and then talking with therapists.
Because you have to go down the actual rabbit hole
right.
of this anyway.
And then down the rabbit hole, you could ask my wife what happened. I got wigged out.
Okay.
I got fucked up. Because all this shit came up to the surface.
They started asking the right questions to get to you to really experience all the trauma that had been unhealed and undealt with. Wow. Okay.
And my whole world turned upside down. Mm-hmm. And it was shaking. It was seismic, man.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, the thing is, I had to remember everything, and this guy that told me that, he was a veteran service officer, like he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
That helped fill out the forms.
Okay.
The reason a lot of veterans can't get benefits is because they can't fill the forms out, and they don't know you actually have to get a veteran service officer to help you to do this properly, a lawyer that cross the T's and do the I's, and how to present your argument.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how to do this, and so I had to remember everything. And Okay, you got to remember some the way it isn't. The thing is that the PTSD isn't one incident, but
right.
the way they do it is you got to identify one fucking incident that fucked you up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this thing works.
Okay.
And so, what I talked about earlier, well, that could be it,
I mean, it is for me, and I wasn't even there.
Yeah. And
like,
so
I have PTSD because he told me that story.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm like dealing with this stuff, and I'm looking at the forums, and then he sent me a list of all the people that were killed in my unit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this list and I'm going, that many people got killed in my unit? I don't remember that. I had put all that shit out of my head.
Wow.
Every time someone got killed, you just keep on, and it was like a whole list of people. And then I started rushing out. There's a movie about this. I forget the name of that movie, but the whole movie takes place, and this guy's going through, all kinds of trauma in his head, and things are getting weird and stuff, and then he realizes, basically, he realized the whole movie is a dream he's having on the operating table as he's dying.
Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder. That's
one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's wonderful. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I flashed on that and I go, fuck. I started looking at this list and I'm looking for my name on that list.
Yeah.
It flipped me, man.
Wow.
I was afraid to keep looking because if I found my name on there, that would be it.
Yeah.
I was the one dead on the hospital table.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was like fucking scary, man.
Wow.
That kind of thing that PTSD can do to you,
Yeah.
And so I went through the whole gamut, and then eventually they awarded me with. Rarely did they give 100% for PTSD. You got to really fight for it. But the way it happened at my point in time was that they had decided that for the VA to decide if you had PTSD or not was a conflict of interest, because they're the ones that are going to give you the money or not. You can see the conflict of interest there. Mm-hmm. So they made it so you got to go to an outside therapist and get a diagnosis. And this guy was very much on my side. Mm-hmm. And there's a battery of questions and stuff. It's supposed to take 2 hours. I was with him 20 minutes. And he says, give me the stamp. Yeah, you definitely got PTSD, dude.
Wow.
And so I came back.
And it wasn't bullshit. It's not like
you're just it's like, the truth.
Yeah, buddy. Clearly you have PTSD.
Because I told him.
How could you not?
I told him a few things, and it was like, dude, you're good. That's all I need to hear, And so they gave me 100%.
Wow.
So that's how I survive in this world.
Amazing.
And that's not revocable. So fuck you if you're listening to this because you can't take it back.
And by the way, God bless America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So God bless America.
Yeah.
Good job, America.
Yeah.
Good job. I just want to hand it out to Uncle Sam. Like, you really did a good one here by supporting my man Vela over here because he fucking deserves it. So I guess you made good, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. By the way, we killed 3.5 million people over there.
Oh, yeah. Right. And I feel like you've already made a point of the whole thing of going over there and then realizing that you were the actual enemy. And that's the result, is that we killed 3.5 million Vietnamese people.
Yeah. More bombs dropped in Vietnam than World War II. Mm-hmm. Carpet bombing, 500-pound bombs in cities. Populated areas where you turn the whole area into like the surface of the moon. Serious shit, man. Out and out genocide. Anyways, I want to tell you a fun story. So we're tasked with finding the enemies out in the jungles and stuff. So they say, okay, here's a good trail. Follow these trails up, and it's going up and up. In Asia, there's like steps, You go to the altitudes, and there's a lot of steep climb, and then you get to another flat area.
Mm-hmm.
So we followed this trail, but it's obviously not people. They said, well, no, there's elephants here. And the Vietnamese are using elephants to haul their stuff around. The Viet Cong are loading elephants and moving things around. That's how they're doing it,
Okay.
Which was absolutely erroneous. They were not ever using elephants. But there's wild elephants there, and that we were following wild elephant trails, So we get up to the upper highland. It's one of the upper highlands of Vietnam. And by the way, we talked about the triple canopy jungle. It's one of the most beautiful things you could ever experience in your life. Here's another one. Virgin pine forests that have never been cut the way this country used to be. Trees that it take 4 or 5 people to put their arms around. And nothing growing on the ground at all. Just all pine needles for as far as you could see.
Wow.
These massive trees.
Amazing.
Yeah, primeval.
Yeah.
And then there's a trail where the elephants are going. Because, nobody goes up there. And so they go, okay, we found where the elephants are. And so we're going to make an ambush and get them guys on the elephants. And we're going to do this, okay. And, so we line up, hiding there. And they say, okay, I had a grenade launcher at that time. You could shoot a grenade through this gun and, it would land and blow up. And then we got a machine gunner and we got everybody else. And they say, okay, Smitty, first, you shoot first. When you see that elephant, shoot him right between the eyes. That should kill him. And then you with the machine gun, you shoot all the people that are around being, riding this elephant and stuff. And we'll get all these guys, And, okay, great, And, well, we don't want to be right by the trail, but we need to hear what's going on. So we put a couple of guys on the outpost next to the trail who can advise us when you hear somebody coming. And they will do that. And so, so we're back a ways. But we can see we can get at the trail. But these guys are really close to the trail. And they're supposed to stay up at night while we're sleeping. And they got a radio. So meantime, one of our guys got to take a shit. And we put up trip flares out in front of us. So if anybody's coming, they'll hit this wire and the flare will go off and we'll see people coming,
Okay.
So he went and took a shit out there when he was putting that flare up. And trip flare up. And we're all hunkered down, and then you hear the radio after some hours in the night, and they say, hey, you guys, something's coming. We hear it coming. It's crunching coming. There's someone coming. You hear them? And, they're getting all scared and shit. He said, we got to come in. We got to get out of here. And the guys go, no, stay there. Stay there. Hold your guard, and to tell us what's going on. And those guys are freaking out, because there's a lot of shit coming at them right next to them. And they go, fuck it, man, we're coming in. Don't shoot, we're coming in. And so they're coming, the 2 guys are coming back to us, and they trip on the trip flare.
Okay.
And then you see one of those guys fall down. So... And then there's these elephants coming, and it's all fucking chaos, because this is at night, and it's like, how am I going to shoot elephant between the eyes? And I don't know what's going on. There's a herd of elephants out there, and so it's all chaos. So everybody busts loose with everything they got, It's you're just shooting like crazy in that direction, like madmen, So then the elephants go away, and and then, the one guy that fell down, well, he slipped on somebody's shit out there. That's what happened. And he also got fragged. Some of the people threw grenades out there, and he got frags all over him. So it was all full of blood and shit all over him.
Oh, God.
I mean, yeah, it's funny, but he didn't think it was very funny. So out of the chaos, what they do is they know our position, and they're calling the headquarters at a fire base, and they go, yeah, they're here. The elephants, and it's all here, and it's happening. So shoot the fucking cannons and shit, and blow them up with the cannon. Shoot artillery rounds at them, and so there's artillery rounds falling all around us, and it's insane. Actually, they killed an elephant.
Just one?
Yeah, but there was, nobody's using elephants.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's military intelligence right there. That's a perfect example of what they do.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's cut to the politics.
Yeah.
Because we spoke earlier a little bit about that, and you mentioned at the start of the podcast about, here's this, we're doing this for imperialistic reasons to build empire, and that's really what this is about. And it's not really about anything else. At the time, obviously, it was couched in terms of like, we want to defend democracy against communism, which is now spreading over Southeast Asia, the
Right.
Rice Bowl, and that was the justification for it. And then, of course, JFK sent people over there, but he was trying to pull them back, and then he got killed. And
Guess why they killed him,
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. A lot of reasons. But that's probably a big one.
Yeah.
He wasn't wanting to participate in the war, and the war was going to make a lot of money, and et cetera.
Yeah.
And the military-industrial complex needs that. All those factions need to be needed and to make money.
Are needed,
Been in a war for, well, I guess Korea, but
In the military-industrial complex, you got to remember who owns those corporations that makes all the arms. It's the people here in this country, of course. Mm-hmm. All the people that hold stock in the war manufacturing systems. Mm-hmm. The people next door to you, or maybe yourself, have stock. Maybe you got a stock portfolio.
Fucking me. No.
Do you ever take a look and see what you're invested in? Most people not.
Yeah, but no, I'm not invested in any of that shit.
So it's the people that send us off to war are the one profiting from the war. Mm-hmm. So a little, complex situation there, so no wonder they don't want to hear about it and put it into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it comes down to greed.
Yeah.
Vietnam, Gulf of Tonkin. Gulf of Tonkin never fucking happened.
Right.
They say now. They admit it. They're like, yep, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
But it was
fabricated.
It was fabricated. It was invented so that we could send troops over there. Weapons of mass destruction. Come on. September 11th. Come on, man. Even the Gulf Wars. Come on. It's just, it's all bullshit. It's all for greed. It's all for money.
Yeah, it's direct imperialism that this country has perpetrated on all these other countries, overthrowing democracy when it did arise in Central America, Chile, and so many other places, always supporting the fascists and setting up dictatorial governments. That's our country. That's what we do. So we can rip off the country and take everything. The Monroe Doctrine says, in law that we have the right to interfere with and do anything to the politics and the people of Central and South America. Yeah, and that's what we have done.
Yeah,
time after time after time, and we always support the fascists.
Mm-hmm. Because we can, because they'll play ball with us. That's accurate.
So what did Vietnam have? The French were there before us. They had massive rubber plantations.
Uh-huh.
They beat the French very good, and interesting.
But the French also completely tortured them and were sending home ears, literally, to their wives. They cut off people's ears and send them back. I did a pretty good study on Vietnam. Like that country had been occupied for hundreds of years before we even got there, which is why they were so fucking tough. Yeah. I mean, in part.
Yeah, right.
Because they had been trained over hundreds of years.
The Chinese were there.
Yeah.
But here's a little thing. The French are very uppity, if you want to say. They think they're better than everybody else. I mean, I'm sorry for you French people, but they do have that reputation.
There's a little maybe inherent pomposity sometimes.
Yeah.
In French people. Not everybody. All right. I got a good friend. She's French. I love her. You know.
So the Vietnamese people are.
I'm French. My middle name's Dubois.
The Vietnamese people are people that sit on the ground. Sometimes they have a little stool or something to sit on, but they're on the ground a lot,
Mm-hmm.
And so, Bim Ben 2 was when, the Vietnamese got the best of them and, wiped them out and beat them, wiped them out. And then so they had to surrender. Well, they came into a room with the Vietnamese generals, and, the French is coming in all, okay, we've come to capitulate, we're surrendering. The Vietnamese people are sitting on the ground, and they're like, sit down. So they had to humble themselves and sit down on the ground with the Vietnamese people. I think that's a beautiful scene.
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
We're not conspiracy theorists. And by the way, that term was coined by the CIA to basically get any doubt about what the government's doing to be labeled as crazy, right? Look it up, conspiracy theory. It has lumped in so much actual knowledge and truth. And granted, there's some bullshit conspiracies out there, there's no doubt. And part of those tales are also being pumped in by the same, network that's throwing them in. I realize that this makes me sound like more of a conspiracy nut, but you got to cut through that. You got to think about, well, what's actually happening? What are the facts, Jack? And how much money is being made and what's really happening? And then reconcile that the only way that this engine stops is if we stand up.
Yeah.
Is if we stand up and say, no, you can't do that anymore. This money that you're making is not worth the lives that you are taking. And if we don't stand up like that and stop it, it's just going to continue to happen like that until we just destroy ourselves.
Right. And our best people are, in my opinion, our best people are the veterans.
Mm-hmm. Because they've seen the reality.
Yeah, they've seen the reality, and they can convey that reality to the rest of the people here. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that, the privilege that I have is I know exactly what's coming down, what did come down, what continues to come down, what this country is truly about, beyond the American dream. We're a imperialistic machine that has, according to Martin Luther King, has done the worst damage to humanity that any other country has ever done on the face of the earth. And I'm sorry if this offends you. You're American, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
We continue to invade countries. Iraq was an absolute fucking war crime. Mm-hmm. Even Bush says straight up, I'm a war criminal. Mm-hmm. He knows it. He should be arrested Kissinger with Vietnam, he can't leave the country because he'll be arrested in any other country because everybody knows he's a war criminal. Right. We are the ones. We're war criminals. We have no, we're invading and doing this to other countries to take their goods and to as an imperialistic machine to take over, and that's just the truth of it. Mm-hmm. And but it's all coming back home. And what I mean by coming back home is, from the Vietnam War, one of the reasons I started my nonprofit with the Soldier's Heart of the Ozarks, based on Dr. Tick's work, Soldier's Heart Incorporated. And by the way, Soldier's Heart means the same thing as PTSD. It means you have a wound in your heart. It's a soul wound, and that's what we're trying to heal. And Dr. Tick has, from the indigenous people, ways to work through this trauma. And you can look at his book, Return of the Warrior, mm-hmm. Healing the hearts of the veterans. But, back when I started...
That'll be in the show notes, too.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Back when I established my nonprofit as a mirror for Dr. Tick, eventually retired. So I named mine Soldier's Heart of the Ozarks, where I live. I tell people, well, we got 22 veterans a day committing suicide. Mm-hmm. So there's organizations called 22, etc. Well, they need to up that, change the name, because now it's 44 people every day, 44 veterans, the best people in our country, is the best trained examples of true Americans that have put their lives on the line, believing in the American dream for all the people. 44 of them have come to realization that they did something that they can't live with. 44 every day while we've been talking here. Mm-hmm. How many of those guys committed suicide because they can't live with themselves?
Yeah.
This is count back. I mean, from the time of 1974, the Vietnamese beat us. The war was over, and we lost about 57,000 troops killed in the war, vast numbers. 10 times that wounded, amputees, etc., and multiples of that in prison and drugs and suicides, up to 22 a day since 1974. Do the math, folks. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of thousands of veterans of our best people. Not 57,000. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of thousands. And every day the numbers are going up and up and up, mm-hmm. way past anything that happened in the war.
Yeah, because you're being trained to go kill people, and then at some point you have to know in your heart that it's wrong. And then you come back and you're fighting for this reason, for this purpose, to defend democracy, and for noble reasons, by the way. I mean, I think it should be made totally clear that that both of us fully 100% support all veterans of all wars and are behind them. You were warriors. You went and served your country for what you thought was right, and now you're coming back and reaping the ramifications of having to go kill people, murder people overseas in foreign lands that weren't asking for it. But there's a fundamental thing that gets, I think what you're pointing to, and what I've always believed, is like gets broken when you put a gun on when you shoot somebody, when you kill someone, when you murder somebody. It is very hard to reconcile, to believe that that's good. Something happens, like you said earlier, you were talking about, there's like on a soul level, you're communicating with this person, like that you killed, you took them out, now you're tied to them in some way.
Absolutely.
And we don't deal with that. First of all, we don't deal with the fact that we've sent people over to do that in the fucking first place for bullshit imperialistic reasons. And then second of all, we don't help the people when they get back to deal with the grief that they need to experience and the sorrow that they need to experience for having done what they've done, and then be able to reconcile that, which is like perhaps the worst crime of everything.
Yes, I agree. And the other part of it is that once you've experienced reality at that depth of intensity and the camaraderie that you have with your fellow veterans in a war zone, you can never find that back here. Mm-hmm. You might have some friends, or usually when you come back, you hang with your veteran friends because those are your buds. Those are the ones, when it comes down to it, you're not fighting for anything but them, to right. protect them. And you get back here, you can't find that kind of intimacy with people anymore.
Yeah.
You just can't find it. And people are saying, well, just, like Bush says, just go shopping, That's what you got to do, Come on. Okay. And it's like, bullshit, fuck you, Oh, you don't know what the fucking reality is, You want me to come back and go work at Walmart and shit? What, really? Right. Uh-huh. And you can't get, and people don't want to hear the gruely part of it, they don't want to hear your story, not at all.
Right.
We have a better time now. Veterans have a better time being accepted by society as veterans than we did after Vietnam. We were scorned completely. But
and I'm sorry.
But now, even though people say, thank you for your service, we hate that. Don't ever say that to people. Say, thank you for your sacrifice, sir. Or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's better. Say.
So think about that. Thank you. What did you sacrifice, man?
Yeah.
Your whole fucking life.
And your innocence.
Your innocence, yeah. Absolutely.
I think so. That kind of dovetails nicely. I often wonder, and we were talking on the way over here about how miraculous it is to me that you've been able to heal and transform and learn these lessons.
Yeah.
And so, in the interest of giving medicine to people and also for me, I mean, it's clear based on what we've talked about that part of what's been so healing for you is meditation.
Absolutely.
Daily meditation. You committed yourself to a practice of Zazen, and then meditation, and however it's evolved for you. You've done that every day. That's helped you so much.
Yes.
You had the courage to go back and reconcile, and you did that on your own by yourself when you knew you could get killed for it, or you really believed that, even though you discovered the opposite. So meditation is part of your transformation. Being willing and courageous enough to seek and find reconciliation.
Another word for reconciliation is atonement.
Yes. A more powerful word. At-one-ment. At-one-ment.
Yeah. Atonement means at one-ment.
Yeah.
Listen to my story. Didn't I do that?
You did that. You did that, and you atoned for your sins.
And and Dr. Tick's work, the way he put that out, the way the Native Americans used to, or that's how they've done with how the way they put veterans, how they their warriors out to war was one way. The whole community honored them.
Yeah.
But the way they came back is what we're emulating with Soldier's Heart. That system. There's 6 steps, and one of them is atonement. And then there's other really important ways. The Native Americans, in their traditional ways, when a warrior came back from war, they would definitely not just come on back and let's party. No, they put them in a place away to begin with the elders and with the healers. And they got the war out of them before they were allowed back into society.
Wow.
There was a process of purification that took place.
Okay.
So that's one of the steps out of 6 steps to get the make them get the anger, work with them, whatever it takes. And maybe it would take a long time before they were allowed back in, because they're a threat to society if you're messed up,
Right. Like you were so violent and angry for so long because you didn't take the time. Nobody took you aside to get the war out of you.
Right.
And so then it was just burbling in the background. Yeah. You've been trained to kill people, and then it's surprising to people that you fly off the handle, get pissed off. Because nobody took the time to do that with you until you did it for yourself. Yeah. Which again is also I think part of the miracle of the whole thing. Thank God you started to do meditation. Yeah. And you took this path.
I'm with Sacred Sons. It's one of my sidebars. Great organization to heal the hearts, open the hearts of men. Yeah. Take the masks off and get real, and get there. Become real human beings, instead of the general situation, of hiding and not being truly a man. Yeah. So they're a great organization, and and we're bringing veterans back into that organization too. But the first step is to accept your destiny. So what that means is,
this is Dr. Tick's first.
Yeah, Dr. Tick has in his book Restoring the Warrior Soul. So those 6 steps are in one of the chapters. It's kind of the heart of the book, Dr. Tick reads his own book, and that guy has a heart of gold, and you can pick that up with the way he reads and how heartfelt he is. He's cried many tears for us. He's not a veteran, but he's spent over his year by bringing veterans back that many times. So, he's definitely done his, and he's really been there with these soldiers, and really felt it with them, What I was saying, accepting your destiny. What is your destiny? Well, it's like what I didn't do for many years is accept that, as a warrior. And I am a warrior. I was a soldier. A warrior is a person tasked to protect and to serve his people. That's not a soldier. Soldiers learn to be warriors, to protect their people. And so, just as I did, I didn't embrace that, but my healing came about when I was able to step up and say, I guess I'm on this planet as a warrior to protect and to serve my people. And what a honor that is. That's my destiny. And most veterans, that is their destiny as well, especially the ones that are troubled, is why they're not accepting who they truly are.
Yeah.
And like a lot of veterans...
And they probably don't feel like they can protect their people because now they're not in war.
Right. But a lot of veterans...
change the context.
Instead, you'll find a lot of veterans in the emergency service, EMS, is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or firemen, or police.
Right.
Because on those occupations, it's the same thing.
Right.
They're protecting and serving their people.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of different ways you can do that, And so then the next, I might get this order wrong. It doesn't matter because this all has to happen. But the detoxification, healing the veteran, so he would be, he should be brought into therapy or into healing with herbs, with medicines of whatever kind. And, in these days now, plant medicine is a very big thing. People doing what people used to scorn, doing psychedelics. Well, that's a very healing thing. And it works wonderfully for veterans.
Yeah. Because
it's very fast. It's much faster and more direct than talk therapy is rather ineffective. But a session of MDMA, for instance, the group, what's the name of that? It does that. I'll think of it. But
well, suffice to say, MDMA is very effective at helping soldiers with PTSD.
Yeah, there's a group that's now making that legal.
Yeah.
MAPS.
MAPS. Yeah. Right. Go MAPS.
Yeah, so they're
Go MAPS.
They're now right at the verge of, the FDA is legalizing that medicine because they fast-tracked it, because if there's a medicine that they find is effective, that nothing else is working, they'll fast-track it. And they found that MDMA, 1 or 2 sessions of MDMA with assisted psychotherapy, so there's 2 therapists. There's a therapist and a helper, and the person's on the couch with a blindfold on, maybe listening to music that they give him, and he's able to, with this MDMA, relive his thing, and get some distance from it, and actually see the MDMA. The way this works is the person can see their trauma and not engage with it, so that sub part of themselves that can take them over as a complex, they can actually step back and see that and not get emotionally involved with it, and see what it is, and kind of, with the therapist's help there, look at that, and it gets resolved. 80% success rate after 3 years.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
Phenomenal.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, there's
particularly
nothing else.
when, previously, I don't know what the success rate was, but
Not
I think
much.
it was a lot lower. All right, it was way low. It was in the fucking toilet, you guys. All right,
Yeah.
it was shitty. All right, we didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. That medicine is super effective, and also psilocybin is also very effective.
Psilocybin, and I have
ayahuasca is also
right.
proven to be very
Ayahuasca,
effective.
yeah, absolutely, very, very healing, and I have experienced that myself. And that actually, folks, that has helped me immensely.
For you personally, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I've able to look at that thing that I talked about where I saw the Vietnamese people looking at me with these eyes saying, what kind of a human being is that? And then seeing myself in that light, that was under the influence of LSD. That started coming on, and I thought, I don't want to, I'm such having a good time here, I don't want to fuck it, I'm going to look at it. And I experienced it under that influence, and I was like, well, I never thought about it. I never saw that before in all these years, It's a whole nother level.
You're talking about the experience of seeing yourself through the eyes of the people when you were dumping the bodies out the back of the truck. Okay.
That was on LSD. It wasn't fear, and it wasn't, maybe it was fear and hatred there, but
it was disbelief.
What kind of a person? Is that a human being even?
Right, yeah.
And then seeing myself that was you, dude. Mm-hmm.
That's okay. So that's really interesting. So that was, because that's previously in our story. So that was, you were on LSD at the time that you
this
had that
year,
vision.
That was just this year.
Oh,
so
wow.
Little things come up like that.
Okay.
And another time I was on a psilocybin. Mm-hmm. I took some psilocybin. Mm-hmm. And I saw the terror that I went through, the fear and terror, the incidents of fear and terror that, some of that I talked about, that drove my innocence so far deep inside of me that, you don't really lose your innocence. Mm-hmm. It just hides inside of you. It's like this little child, this innocent child. And look at what you did to scare it, to frighten it, to terrify that innocence within you, and it's so far away from your consciousness. Mm-hmm. And now you're just this hard ass person, but that innocence is there, but you have driven it away with fear. Mm-hmm. And I saw that with psilocybin, and it was like I cried a few tears for that child inside of me. Mm-hmm. And then he's coming back and going, so can I come out now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I cried some tears. This innocent youth, you come, I'm safe now. I'm not going to hurt you anymore.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to share something.
Yeah.
Because I had a different but similar experience in an ayahuasca ceremony, actually, also. Because that medicine is also very helpful for me as well in what I'm up to with life. Again, just disclaimer. Don't go drink it, all right, by yourself and just see what happens. You want to make sure that you're with people that are really, truly vetted and trustworthy, that they're trustworthy, know what they're doing, they know how to they know how to hold space. They have some spiritual training to recognize sort of dangers that might come about, etc. And if doesn't call to you, no big deal. Don't do it. This is not something you have to do. But for me, I had this one particular experience that was similar where I had some, I've been super fortunate in my life and not a lot of real harm has come to me. But when I was a child, I had a significant amount of bullying and also some trauma related to family as well. It really shoved down myself as a little boy. And in an ayahuasca ceremony, I was looking to see like what's tying me to the tree. That was the contextual question that I had in this ceremony. What's tying you to the tree that has you keep trying to run, but you can't go anywhere? And I looked and I turned around and I saw this little boy, little Jeffrey, little me, cutest little boy. And I saw him and I was like, it's okay, little Jeffrey. You're safe now.
Yeah.
You're safe now and you're loved.
Yeah.
And it's safe to come out now. It's safe to be who you are. It's safe to express yourself now. And I love you and I will protect you. You grew up and now you're the man. Look at us now. And it was really transformative and healing for me. So part of the process for you, what you're describing, is the reclaiming of innocence, and we're here to tell you that's completely possible, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then so what else in this process of transformation for you, or maybe from Dr. Tick, has been helpful?
Well, one thing is one of the steps is to tell your story. you need to be heard.
Yeah.
You need to express that.
And feel that you've been actually heard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important.
Yeah.
You know, there's this thing about, these guys telling you war stories, fuck
Right.
that. But it's like, no, in the right context, with people that can hear you, that can respect what you're saying, and know this is a healing process, that you can get it out,
mm-hmm.
and know that you're accepted by society, that you're not a monster,
mm-hmm.
that this is what happened, and you can express it and show people that.
Yeah.
That's really, really healing,
Extra with the extra healing sauce on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, just to throw it out there, I mean, if you know a veteran, listen to their story. For me, one of the most powerful things you can do is listen to people. If there's anything that I've learned from doing this podcast, it's the power of listening.
Mm-hmm.
You learn so much. And when you're actually interested and really listening and actively listening, repeating what the person said so they know that you got it, so you understood it, it's so gratifying because you see life through their eyes, and it also just, it shifts something in you. So this is an invitation to anybody out there, if you know a veteran and you want to be of service to them, ask them their story, really listen to them.
Absolutely.
And repeat what they have to say, and thank them for their sacrifice.
Yeah.
And let them know it's okay. So being heard is a hugely important step in this restorative process for you.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, there's that purification process,
Mm-hmm.
There's an initial one
Mm-hmm.
that I talked about, and then there's another deeper thing, which I think this is more addressing what can happen with, I think the plant medicine is the best way of that deep purification, and
Not deep detoxification.
Yeah, detoxification,
Mm-hmm.
and getting down to the soul level of that, that initial part there. So there's two parts of that, getting the war out of the person is one, the initial part, and then the secondary healing part, deep healing, the final one is initiation. Is like, and this can be ritualistically done. The thing about what I said with Sacred Sons, this would be a really good time for the cold plunge, to after this veteran has dealt with all this, he's told his story, he's welcomed back, he's apologized and made atonement with it. And atonement can be not just words and stuff, but for instance, I bought a pig last year, and I've donated to schools in Vietnam. Dr. Tick set up schools, and one of the best things he's found to do is give a family a pig.
Oh, you bought a pig for someone in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can give a donation, or you can just, for $300, you buy a pig and it goes to a family, and then they can make little pigs, and that could be the life-saving thing for their family, So there's a lot you can do. It's not just verbal atonement.
Right. You can do actual things.
And you can do things in this country towards the poor, towards the needy here. You can make atonement here.
Uh-huh.
It's all humanity,
right.
Serve humanity. Be of service,
Be of service.
And then, in the end, initiation to you know why you're here. You're a warrior, and you're initiated as a warrior. Maybe have some kind of a ritualistic initiation process, like a baptism in the river type of thing,
Yeah.
And come back and say, I'm here, I'm initiated. I'm a warrior. I'm here to serve. I've done my work. I've told my story. I've been purified, and now I'm stepping forward. I'm initiated as a true warrior to serve my people, to protect and to serve my people.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think that's a nice dovetail for us to get into the end of part 2 of this podcast, which is talking about the value of brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I, the way that we know each other, by the way, is we just went to an initiatory experience where it was, a Sacred Sons event. It's called Primal Presence. And basically it's 4 days of fasting. There's some combo practice in there, which is a sacred frog medicine that helps detoxify your system. And it's challenging. I mean, it's challenging just to be out in the woods for 4 days. And, not to get into details of what happened, but put very simply and succinctly, we experienced a lot of different challenges that were very hard for us to get through, not the least of which is not eating for 4 days, and getting into the river and being freezing and confronting fears of our own and expressing things to our brothers and being really honest and having a context, having a container where it's safe for us to talk about all the things that we don't ever like to talk about and be heard and heal those wounds. And I think for me, that's one of the things that is sorely missing in this world these days. Brotherhood is the medicine. Sisterhood is the medicine. My wife is on a retreat right now with a bunch of ladies studying about Mary Magdalene. While we're off in the woods doing our thing. Well, those things are incredibly healing because they give you the kind of camaraderie and love and care that is so desperately missing, and you get to actually be real. It's one of the places, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel it's one of the places where, as a warrior who has returned home, it's probably one of the only places where you can feel that actual level of camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for me, with Sacred Sons, we make an effort. We have a system of breaking the hearts, open. People express the deep parts of themselves, and they open themselves up and become. The net process is they become very strong men that are sure about themselves, and they've heard other people. They've given their stories and they're accepted. And I see this with Sacred Sons. And, the kind of thing that I talked about right here and, some of this really gruely shit that we gave a warning about, most people can't handle that.
No.
That's one of the reasons. It isn't that they just don't want to hear you. It's like, it's traumatizing. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be traumatized. They don't want to hear this horrible stuff.
Right.
But I want to be around some strong men that are strong in themselves and can stand up on themselves. And even if it's traumatizing, even if it's hard, they're going to listen. They're going to take it in. And they're going to accept you and not judge you. And they're going to support you. And so, for me to share this, the hard, grueling parts of my story with other strong men that can stand on their own feet, and they can take it. They can carry this with me. Mm-hmm. They can help me carry this burden that's always with me. Fantastic,
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I'm there. But I say I'm with Sacred Sons because I want to bring this out of other men, because we need leadership. We need real men in this world. Indeed. And I'm going to do everything I can to help bring, men to their true possibilities. Mm-hmm. But also, I want help. I want support myself.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I want people strong people to help me and support me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. And I so much of it is about that. I think not just Sacred Sons, but any real true brotherhood experience, if you can find that wherever you get it, it's so important. Like, I have groups of friends in my life that are that for me, and that we are that for each other. And when we get together, there is that understanding, and we show up like that for each other. So, and that's so critically important and missing. And also it helps to turn the tide that we are turning right now of transforming men and being a man from being a predator to being a protector. Now, not all men are predators, etc. Obviously, we've gone through a lot of, the Me Too movement exposed a lot of predators, and then, and rightly so, obviously. But if we as men can come to a place where we are actively engaging and embracing the idea of how do I become a protector rather than a predator? How do I get consent at all times and respect the sovereignty of women in this case, of other people, generally speaking? How do I become a protector of humanity, of myself, my own heart? Treat everyone around me as if we are totally, fully, and completely related. That we are totally intertwined and interconnected.
Right. Yeah.
How do we create that medicine in the world so that that's the most valuable thing? Mm-hmm. Having purpose, having love in our lives. How do we create that? And so much of that is brotherhood and doing work where you're sitting in a circle talking to your brothers about what you've gone through and gaining acceptance and support. And also, I believe for sisters as well. For sisters, it's really important to hang out and do similar work of their own device.
Fortunately for women, they're more adept at sharing with each other the depth of themselves. Women have an easier time with that. Men have been put on, you got to be tough, you got to put on this face, like don't cry, don't. So it's a harder story for us to, women seem to bond together a lot easier than men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And still, and that's true. And still, I also believe it's so important for women to come together for common ground, to listen to each other, learn from each other, because so much of the context that they have lived into previously has been, to just look good and et cetera. And it's been a bunch of bullshit of non-substance. And then it gets catty and weird, As you say, women have an easier time of bearing their souls to each other. There's no question about that. But there's no doubt to me that it's important that sisters build sisterhood.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the medicines that can heal this world.
Right. And if you get men that are truly men, that can cry, that can feel, that can share, and you get women that have done the same thing, then we have a really powerful foundation for society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the work.
Yeah.
Amazing. I ask this of all my podcast guests, Vela. For you, what is sacred and what is insane?
Well, the most sacred thing is love. Love is everything. It's not a platitude. It's a reality. Love is one thing, and compassion is an expression of love. To actually feel the sorrow and the pain that's in your fellow human being.
Mm-hmm.
Is compassion, but you have to have love first of all to have compassion. So that's what's sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Love and the expression of love through compassion. And what's insane is hatred, violence, brutality, abuse, exploitation of others, the insanity of war is the greatest insanity of this planet. The history of humankind is written in the war stories of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the line of history of humanity, of this madness of war that we get into, that's going on right now. Every minute, people are being killed in Palestine, Ukraine, other places. Just keeps going on and on and on. And we can see very clearly how insane that is.
Mm-hmm.
And the brutality. If I wish everybody could just step into a war for a time and see what it truly is. When you think of I don't know what the number is now, but last time I heard it was 10,000, and now I'm sure it's 11, maybe 12,000 Palestinians at the hands of the Israelis.
And there's at least 1,200 or 1,000 Israelis that were also kidnapped and murdered and raped and burned horror. In the streets.
Absolute horror, and that is the evil, that keeps going on and on and on and on. And why can't you just stop it?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you say enough?
Yeah.
It's just Palestinians and Israelis, they're the same people.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at their genes, probably no difference hardly at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cain and Abel,
mm-hmm.
on and on and on.
Yeah.
It's like, we can see that very clearly, but, when you get involved in the passion of hatred and war, you lose all reason, and it's madness,
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where it all could be love. We could all love each other and care for each other, feed the poor and take care of the people in need. And how lovely it can be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the world you and I are fighting for.
Yep, we are.
So I want to acknowledge you, Vela, for the sacrifices that you made. I want to acknowledge you for answering the call to go to war. I want to acknowledge you for going to war, experiencing all that you experienced, and really taking in the lessons that were there for you to receive, and then delivering us those lessons on a platter. I really can't tell you how moved and inspired I am to know you and to be your brother.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm absolutely just, floored by you and the example that you are. I appreciate you going to hell and back and really coming back from hell.
Well, and I really appreciate being seen and being heard, and giving me this opportunity to talk to whoever's looking at this, to share my experience and share what I am. And I'm 76 years old now, and I've one thing that we didn't really get to talk about in our experiences, what we were just on, is we went into this and we were calling this an initiation. And it is for each of us an initiation.
100%.
And I've been seeking, there's the primary initiation from being a youth to an adult, rites of passage that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
But there's an adult to a mature adult.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another phase there's like 3 stages of being an adult.
Yeah.
And you need an initiation into each of those.
Yes.
The latter stage of being an adult.
Yes.
Is a third. And then then finally you become an elder.
Yes.
And when I joined Sacred Sons, I listened to Stephen Jenkinson. You really got to listen to Stephen Jenkinson.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a book called Coming of Age, where he talks about that we don't have elders in our society. It's not a function in our society. It's a lost function that used to always be elders in a community.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of old people. We don't respect them. We don't listen to them. We don't see them as elders with wisdom. And so that isn't in existence. And he says, and people say, "Oh, you're such a great elder." He says, "How can you say I'm an elder? We don't know what elder is. The society doesn't know what that really means." And I come to Sacred Sons, and they invited me in. I said, "I'd like to be with you guys, but I don't see nobody." But most of Sacred Sons are like 35, 40 years old, around there, and I don't see nobody my age. And they said, "No, come here. We want you here because we don't have elders here." And it's like, they don't have elders in Sacred Sons. They don't have elders in the society. So we got to learn to be elders and the society has to learn what an elder is.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had been asking around for years back to say, I need somebody to help me do an initiation from latter adulthood into being an elder. Because I don't know what an elder is either, and I don't know how to be an elder. But this initiation we just did was what I've been looking for.
Wow.
And all my brothers there, they all stepped up and said how much they respected me and stuff. And it's because I have stepped up, and I have, through this process, done another step in becoming an elder.
Yes, you have.
And that's I'm so honored that to be with people that can see that and can see, hey, we got an elder in our midst, and this man is acting like an elder, and that's what an elder looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see myself, and I go, yeah, I guess I am.
Mm-hmm.
I've made that transition from latter adulthood to elderhood.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a great honor,
And I appreciate you stepping into that role too. I mean, I didn't know you before this weekend, but I feel like I've known you for lifetimes. Honestly, it was a very deep connection, this experience, and it's totally available to people. But I think the other piece of what you're saying, aside from like now being initiated into being an elder and having that acknowledgement from men who respect you and are speaking their hearts, and you can tell that they're being authentic because we were starving, because we were challenging ourselves. We were testing our mettle, right?
Yeah.
A man doesn't know who he is until he is tested. When he is tested, that's who he becomes, and so not only have you stepped into that role, but it also illuminates that if we were to actually acknowledge people as elders and give them an initiation of some kind into being an elder, then it opens up a space for them to speak their truth and see their wisdom.
Right.
It opens up a space for them to really look back upon their life and really think and see the lessons that they have experienced and deliver them, because now they're getting the respect that they deserve.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously that's also something that I'm firmly committed to is really honoring our elders. And so thank you for being such a great example and being a great elder.
Well, thank you for the privilege.
Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I'm always moved by that people listen to this podcast and also go on this journey with us. This was there's a lot of really deep, intense stuff that we talked about today. So if you made it to this part, I really want to acknowledge your warrior spirit, because that's what it took to get through this. So thank you for being who you are. Know that both Vela and myself really want nothing more than for you to be your full expression, whatever that is for you, and that we are pulling for you in becoming the man or woman of your own dreams, and we know you can make it there.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If we can do it, you can do it.
That's right. And we will continue to do it. And it's an ongoing journey. Never ends. There's always another mountain. So we just want to say all that and wish all of you much love. I'll see you next week. For more information about Vela or to get in touch with him, look in the show notes and there'll be information there. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/Lunacy podcast. Much love to you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this two-parter. See you later.